What's up, guys? Dylan here, and I want to make a quick update following last week's rally in the crypto space. Just want to show you kind of some things that I saw that went on and implications of that, and just some thoughts and questions to consider from here on out. So like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into this video. So we're here on CoinGecko, and it's a decent tool for learning about the different projects and things like that. And I'm Bitcoin focused, but you can't deny that there is the rest of the ecosystem and there are major changes happening. And the biggest change that happened last week was the news that a judge ruled that XRP, the token, was not a security. And that sent shockwaves throughout the markets that day. And we can see, if we go here and look at this chart, this straight line up. XRP is trading under 50 cents, and boom, went up almost to $1 that day, which is pretty wild. That's a pretty wild spike in a token. Of course, like people that have been following XRP, people that are part of the XRP army, have been calling this for a while. And so it's no surprise that if you get a favorable ruling from the SEC, because SEC has had a lawsuit against XRP for Ripple and XRP for a while, if you get a favorable outcome, there are going to be implications there. And I think one thing that to note on this, and this isn't going to be a XRP video, as I've heard, so it's just stuff to look up, is that the ruling was that the token itself isn't a security. However, the creation and sale of those tokens to institutions was likely violating securities law. This has implications for other crypto projects, their tokens. But the big thing is like what it means is the secondary sale of tokens. I think this is one conclusion a lot of people came to or has been talked about. The secondary sale of tokens doesn't constitute selling securities, but the creation, the process and the manner in which you create the tokens and issue the tokens, that can. So a lot of people are like, the projects that follow the rules are going to be better off. And that's potentially very true. But what I want you to see in another narrative, so beyond, that's something to consider and look into, but beyond that, people are talking about this is the start of the new bull run. And I think we're in the early phases of that, but that doesn't mean that it's up only from here, not necessarily. Because before this, what had generally been happening was, if we go over here to Bitcoin dominance, okay, so what had generally been happening, you can see on this chart right here, this is from TradingView, Bitcoin dominance is at 50.17%, and from July, if we look at, let me see if I can get let's do a 6-month chart, because that was today. Okay, so we've seen the dominance just continue to trend up. And so if we look at the beginning of the summer or June, we're at 47, and we basically were all the way up here to 52%, 51%, and then this was last week, right, where we had that altcoin rally, and you see a big chunk percentage of the dominance go down here in this space. But the overall trend is up. Right? The overall trend is up. So we even saw here Bitcoin dominance up, then we have a little bit down, but then it's still trending up. And this is something that Benjamin Cowan has talked about on his Into the Cryptoverse. And the big thing is all about liquidity. And one of the things that he theorized or talked about was that the reasons why you see Bitcoin holding stable here and the dominance going up is you're seeing liquidity being pulled from the altcoins and people moving their money into Bitcoin, because this is the time in the market where Bitcoin is generally going to outperform the altcoins. The altcoins are going to erode in value relative to Bitcoin. And so it doesn't make as much sense to hold altcoins. And then when we saw this spike, potentially what that could have been is maybe some more money coming in, right, with the news about XRP, people capitalizing on that, but also maybe some money that had been temporarily stationed in Bitcoin, right, moving into XRP, things like that. And then we're seeing maybe some money coming out of XRP, coming out of some of these coins, people taking profits and then storing that back in Bitcoin, which could explain, and I'm not saying this exactly explains it, but something that dynamic could explain, like a reversion back to what we were used to, a reversion to the mean, reversion to the average. So that means going back to this trend for now, because this was a shakeup in the crypto space, but we haven't had any sort of major shakeup in the global markets to where you would expect a massive reversal in the crypto and Bitcoin space just overnight, right? It's cool that XRP got that news, right, for all the XRP fans out there, but that's a small scale event. What this market needs to really turn around the dynamic and bring it back to full bull market is it needs some form of major reversal in the global economic markets, global economic conditions. And who is it? Benjamin Cowan in his videos, one of the things that he talks about, the cryptoverse guy, is like, look, it's all about liquidity. I'm referencing him because I got this from him. But it's all about liquidity. And the market isn't really going to have a major turnaround until there's more money flowing into this market. And there needs to be a lot more money flowing in. And that's something to keep in mind and consider as we go forward is while we do think that we are in the start of the beginning phase of that bull market, there can be a few more shakeups and maybe a few more drop downs in the future in order to have final capitulation. And then, of course, if that corresponds with the money printers being turned back on, which people are talking about, then that could really lead to a boom in this market because that de-risks this a lot. Because one thing to keep in mind is that coins that are down 80% can still go down 80 more percent, and you really have to keep that in mind going forward. So to conclude this video, the quick advice here, not financial advice, just educational advice, is when you have days like this, and if you're in a position to take profits, because we have the spike up and then everything's come down. So take some money off the table if you can. So if you're playing in the altcoin game, the gambling game, basically the game for me there is how can you stack more sats? So buying the altcoin so that you can amplify your stacking ability. That's, in my view, if you're going to play that game, that's the best way to look at it. But I'm just some guy on the internet making videos. But all of these coins, right, that spiked up, they've all trailed off. And that means some people are taking profits. Maybe you should take some profits too. Everything spiking up, trailing off. So when you have these massively green days for a lot of these tokens, it might be wise to take some off the table. Even if you held XRP, even if you think it's going to $10 or whatever crazy number that someone's told you, this is a massive move up. And of course, and luckily, like it hasn't retraced as much. But if you had bought it at 35, 40, 50 cents, you've made some really good profits. Take some money off the table. You can still leave that moon bag in place, but take some money off the table. So if it goes down further, you can buy more of XRP, or I would prefer that you bought more Bitcoin. So that's just something to keep in mind on these green days. Take profits, and don't forget the lessons of the last bull market is you never know when the rug will be pulled out from underneath you. So sell when you have the chance. I guess I'll conclude here finally with, I was reading this book called about doing business deals, and the guy's talking about when is the best time to sell your business. And he says generally the best time to sell your business is now. And he told the story about, it's called Do More Deals or Do Deals, something like that for the title of the book. But he told a story about him having a business that had a 3-year contract with one of the largest insurance providers. And so he's like, yeah, I got a 3-year contract with one of the largest insurance providers, so I'm going to keep running this business, keep running this cash cow. I'm not going to sell it. And he's like, then next year, something happened and the contract fell through, and then his business basically went under, and he had to deal with all that kind of thing. And he said the lesson that he learned is, when you're up, when you think next year is going to be your best year, when you think next month or next week is going to be the best week, that might be the time to sell. Because what that means is that not only are you up now, right, you've made some money, but that the person that you're selling, the market, might think that next week is going to be the best week as well, or that next month or that next year is going to be the best year. And so they're ready to buy. But the last thing you would happen is to hold on for that next week, because the future is uncertain. You cannot predict the future, is to hold on for that next week, that next month, that next year, and have the market fall out from underneath you, and then now be forced to sell or be facing a decision to sell at a loss when you could have sold at a profit. So there's a little general guideline there. So if you're up, take profits, make sure to sell. Yeah, you could miss out on these bigger opportunities, but those are few and far between. Get those base hits, get those doubles sometimes, and maybe occasionally you'll get a home run. But if you do that consistently, if you're constantly taking money off the table, if you're playing this trading game, you'll be better off in the long run. So hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully this shed some light on some of the recent activities. And of course, this is not financial advice, just education. I'm just some guy on the internet making videos who is passionate about Bitcoin. But let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.